For what it's worth, we're live again, 2 seconds in, and I'm CapmLew.
I'm Luke. First mate? I don't know.
Co-captain.
Co-captain, my bad. Co-captain.
I mean, I don't know, first mate?
Yeah, I had a moment of, it's fine.
What? People watch us. You're always small. You're smaller.
I know.
You talk less.
I know.
So what's the deal with that?
But I'm happy to be here.
You know what? I'm going to start the Podbean because this will be good for listeners to listen on. I think maybe let's do this here. We'll do a recording, and you got your lavy on?
Indeed.
My lavy's on. All right. Well, we've got a fresh pot of coffee.
Yes.
We've got lavalier mics.
Yes.
We have an iPhone 10.
Yes.
Pulling down the recording. We've got a Facebook Live up.
Yes.
I'm CapmLew, and we've got
Co-captain Luke.
Co-captain Luke, first mate. We thought we would take the first few minutes of today to have a yak and a chat on the topic of who's who and what's what on CapmLew. What's the deal? It's called the CapmLew podcast.
It is.
And I was saying, I talk more, and on the video product, which is ridiculously lo-fi, I'm in the foreground and Luke is in the aft.
The aft ground.
Fore and aft. Those are nautical.
Yeah, nautical
terms.
Nautical
right. terms.
Yes.
When I look in the video product, it's hilarious because when Luke is talking, I look into the camera because I have a display with his face.
It's nice.
Does that work visually for our watchers?
I don't know.
How come every time Luke is talking, Lou just looks,
yeah, leans in,
leans forward like this? Whatever,
know.
man. I think it works good. I mean, is this better? Is this a better one if I turn my head all the way around while you're talking?
They're looking right at the back of your head.
That's not good.
Yeah, I know.
Do I have a crazy mole that's the size like this, the shape of Austria?
You know, it looks good, Doc.
Do I have a birthmark?
When
I was born, I had a birthmark.
I'm literally, dude. You might have one.
It's like down here.
No, you don't have one down there. It's in your hair. It's hard to tell if it's
no.
your
That's
hair or
just that's grease.
Grease
from when I was working on. Just kidding. I wasn't working on it. I was under my truck just the other day.
See? That's what I'm saying.
That's funny.
Just human grease.
Human greases. That's just the nice kind.
It's like a 5W30 product.
Yeah, we're here in the upper sanctum, and I thought we'd just take a couple of minutes here. We're 1 minute and 55 seconds in.
Oh boy.
Just take a couple of minutes to let you know this is the CapmLew podcast. I'm CapmLew.
Yes.
You're Captain. And look me over. I'm the Captain. They say I'm such a joke, but I don't see you laughing. That sound you may have heard or may not have heard is my dog Rocco. He is absolutely certain that he won't survive the night. He is too hot, too cold, too hungry, too full.
Right.
Needs to pee, doesn't want to be outside, needs to poop, doesn't want to be outside, wants to be outside, wants to be on a walk, wants to play with his friend Cash.
Yes.
Doesn't want to play with his friend Cash anymore at all times. All together rolled into one big, giant, cuddly,
yes,
worried face,
yes,
sad boy,
yes,
of pit bull dogness. That's my buddy Rocco. Where is he right now?
He's right behind you.
Oh, he's like dead on the floor
right.
in woe is me mode right now.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and every 30 seconds or so I hear him going, It's because it's 4:59 in the afternoon on December 20th,
yes,
Tuesday.
Yes.
And he is dying of hunger.
Ah.
Because
yes,
he's going to eat in an hour.
Right.
In an hour, he will be given a bowl of very good, high-quality kibble with organ meat and all kinds of old dog food because he has hit that stage of dog life
yes,
known as old doggo-ness.
Old doggo-ness, yes. He is a little worn out.
He is an old doggo. So he's 12 years old. He'll be 13 in June. And he's showing it. Gets up a little slower and plays a little differently than he did when he was young. He gets the zoomies every day, a couple times a day, but they're just not the same zoomies as when he was a kid.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm the captain. I'm CapmLew, and this is my podcast. And Luke is my he's my co-captain. but he's also first mating it. He's the guy who, when we finally get some structure going, will help me to hit the points that we really want to hit and do the things that we really want to do.
Yeah.
And Luke has put in work on, well, for example, if you're listening on Podbean today, Luke is why. Luke went and figured out to get us on Podbean. It's, both of us are, I don't have words. Words fail me.
Yeah, dude.
We're ambivalent.
Yeah.
That means to feel two ways about something at the same time.
Yes.
It's like a state of cognitive dissonance between kind of wanting to, not wanting to,
yes.
Being enthusiastic and reluctant at the same time.
Right.
Because the idea of hosting and promoting and developing basically a broadcasting career that seems like a bit much. It does. It seems really like a bit much. You must think you're quite important.
Yeah.
To think that you can sit down and yakety yak all this stuff out in the ether.
Right.
And for those who are on our Facebook today, this is already going on to Podbean. We'll post it up tonight, so you can re-listen or you can jump off anytime. But for those of you who are on Podbean right now, thanks for joining us. We are humbled that you're spending your lifetime listening to fools like us rant. Sometimes we say some things that we really agree with.
Yes.
It's probably the best we can offer you, except that I think sometimes we say things that are also agreed with by the Holy Scripture, and also attested to in the wiser bandwidths of world living. Don't know. Do know. But we really hope that if we rub you the wrong way, that you will hang in there and give it a chance.
Yeah, man. Come on.
But we're going to say some things that some folks are going to feel are pretty horrible. But that's just the same as saying anything, anywhere. But we're gospel kids when it comes down to brass tacks, even if we're talking about Scripture. And we tend to come at things from a little bit of a different view, even skateboarding. I said Scripture earlier, but I meant skateboarding. If we're just talking about skateboarding, we come into it with a weird view. I attribute my lack of ambition in skateboarding directly to my experience with Jesus. He tamed within me that wild thing that would have prostituted myself for the fame of 1990s era skate fame. Yeah.
Seriously,
that's what I feel, and I largely feel that I dodged a bullet not pursuing that. And we'll discuss those things later. But yeah, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about that. Later on, I hope that Luke starts his own podcast.
Jeez. That sounds horrible, dude.
And what we'll do is we'll do it in the upper sanctum, and we'll just switch seats so that the video product, and we really don't have a mechanism to offer the video product right now. We're really not enjoying YouTube. We feel like some of our views, like the way that we directly engage issues of trigger warning essay and things like that, we feel like it's really a pain in the butt to think that you're going to get pulled down because you told the truth as you saw it about stuff. What's all that my truth talk? And
I know, dude.
And you can't be sure that you're going to remain, all your hard work will remain online. We thought about creating our own servers and hosting our own website so that people could access what we do. And that hasn't seemed feasible at this point. But that's what I'd like to do, is be fully independent.
I bet that's the best idea.
It is.
I think it really is.
I really do.
And I do wonder how much effort and what kind of money it would take to have that done, because people do it, dude. People do it. I know, dude. I know.
It would take thousands and thousands of dollars that I'm unwilling to spend. Fun fact, I was accused for years of being just in it for the money in skateboarding. That was one of the favorite lines, was that Lou Ross is just in it for the money. That was a favorite. like just in terms of brand competitors who wanted to smear me on the regional level.
Yeah.
And that's not what was happening.
Well, and it was also what was happening with them 100%. They were driven by greed to say those things about you. You know what I mean? Like, you're just in it for the money. You know, so am I.
It would have gratified me if their listeners had just done that whole 3 fingers point back at you, bro.
Yeah, I know, dude. I know.
It was interesting. Yeah. I don't know how much actual damage I ever suffered from such an accusation. I know it damaged me. It did damage my reputation here. But do you even want to keep a reputation that's that fragile? If you're, people who are going to think differently about you because someone who bullied them their whole life tells a lie about you. Yes, gotta let them go. That's painful. There's people I really like to this day who just, wow. I mean, some of you might have a suspicion as to who you are, and I'm like, I don't approve. I do not approve of cowardice and compliance with just jackass bully garbage culture. I just don't. Nope, never gonna. What are you gonna do? Of course, that's why all of these multitude are tuning in.
Yes.
We had like 26 people.
Overall.
Didn't we look at our stats 2 days ago?
Oh, I think like 26 people listened to one of them.
Like a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It wasn't bad.
I need to write to Nick Diaz and get him to write us an intro.
Nick? Who's Nick Diaz?
He's the one who said "Train by day, Joe Rogan by."
Oh, that guy. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, all day, all night.
Nick Diaz, the Diaz brothers, amazing mixed martial artists. Well, today in the news.
Yes.
Today in the news, there were 2 items I thought were interesting. One of them is today, the 20th of December, 2022. A magnitude 6.4 earthquake hit in Northern California, Humboldt County. And like 70,000 people are without power, and roads and bridges and all sorts of stuff got busted. That is interesting.
Yeah. God
bless all the people in Humboldt County. And that is just insane. So, very, very intense there. Some stuff happened in Pakistan and Iraq, which is properly pronounced Iraq. But what I was caught by was something that happened in Peru. In Peru, I didn't even know. There's a thing called a geoglyph. Giant, on-purpose shapes that tell a story. Ginormous, were spotted by scientists from Japan and Peru from the air. Yep. I wonder if they used LiDAR. They've been using LiDAR to do this. Yes. What is LiDAR, Luke?
It is an acronym. I can't remember what it stands for. It's like Light Emitting Diode Amazon Radiation or something. But it's
Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos, Washington Post radiation.
Yeah, exactly.
Was used to... LiDAR is like radar, but it uses light.
Yes. It goes down, refracts, comes back up, and they're able to sample data, probably distances and different distances.
LiDAR is how we know that the Branch Davidian complex was breached by Delta forces.
Is that true? I bet it is. They do some crazy stuff with it, man. That's wild.
So yeah, LiDAR is intense. They probably used LiDAR in Peru to discover these geoglyphs, which are gigantic, like earth formations in shapes. And they're hidden by the canopy or by the... I don't know what Peru is even like. Peru is really interesting. They're like 2,000 years old at least. That's like mound formation.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Huge, gigantic mounds and stuff. And they're like... So some news will be coming out. I bet you that they're going to find out that those geoglyphs are like perfectly... they're like... I can't do a British accent, but that Graham Hancock accent would be like they're perfectly aligned with the North Star to a fraction of a degree.
Yes.
Watch, and they're gonna say, how did they do this precision and this and that and the other thing? Blah blah blah.
Aliens.
That's fine. So those were two things from today's news that I thought were interesting.
Dude, quickly on that. Yeah, I read a fascinating National Geographic article like 2 months ago. They were in a cave somewhere in Kentucky or Missouri or something, and they were using a LiDAR-like equipment to scan the top of the cave, and they developed this huge 3D model of it, and you couldn't see it with your eye, but they actually found like ancient script on the ceiling where somebody had been down there like miles and miles in and drawn crazy stuff on the ceiling of the cave, and they were
maybe that's what this is. No, maybe it's that. Is that geoglyphs?
I think geoglyphs are what you're talking about.
Okay,
we can
good.
just look it up. I mean,
Oh gosh, how are we going to look it up? Do we have a giant set of encyclopedias in our house, like when I grew up? Is that how we do it nowadays?
Dude, Chris Gurley says geoglyphs are runways and signposts for ancient aliens. Yes, dude.
Hey man, that ancient alien stuff. Guys, I was on TikTok today, and a former Men in Black agent, on his deathbed, they had his like whole confession on his deathbed, and it was on TikTok. Okay,
yeah,
so that's earth shaking.
Yes.
While you're looking that up, let's take a station break and let you all know that this episode is brought to you by Life Skateboards.
Yes.
Life Skateboards, a small workshop in, where even is it now?
Muncie? No, it's not Muncie.
Well, they're pressing the boards in, I don't know. Not Gas City.
Yes.
Indiana.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis area. Right. Northeast, southeast?
I think it's south.
West?
I think it's southwest.
Knightsville?
Southeast.
Is it Knightsville?
Oh, it might be Knightsville, yeah.
I think it's Knightsville.
Sam should be on here.
Nah, he's not. He's working. He works for a living.
Yes.
Yeah, Life Skateboards. Casper and Sam are pressing up insanely good skateboards out of it's not that small a workshop.
It's pretty large.
It's a 2-location workshop, one in Knightsville for the pressing, yes, and then all the cutting and finishing and graphics are done in Muncie in the old workshop.
Yes.
And it's really a cool time for Life Skateboards because they're moving the whole lot into Knightsville, and they now own their building,
yep,
which is awesome. They've had a great rental in Muncie. It's been terrific. But now Knightsville, the whole operation will be moving there. Probably it'll take 2 more years for it to iron out.
Poor Sam.
Nah, dude, that's that's how it goes. Yeah, Life Skateboards makes my skateboards.
Yes.
I ride this 11-inch wide piece of wonderful ridiculousness. This is the Panhead XL. You can see that we ported over the Barney Mayhem from Fickle and the font. It's backwards on the video. That makes sense. I ride that because I am from a time when, like, I think the New Deal, yeah, useless wooden toys video,
yes,
is a pretty perfect example of what was the pinnacle and remains to me the pinnacle form. It is. If you wonder what's wrong with Lou Ross besides his wild crazy beard, my sensibilities are stuck,
yes,
in big wide boards, melancholies and low flip tricks and lots of shove-its, and slides,
yes,
and nose bonks and, yes, manuals and things like that.
Yes.
And you can even see manual kick flip out back in 1990. I want to say 1997. Useless wooden toys. I don't know. 93, I think. That was after my era. I was 91 was pretty much when I was, like that was where I got kind of stuck. So
it was 1990. Useless wooden toys was 1990.
1990. So
yeah, that makes more sense. By 97, people were getting crazy, dude.
But an hour-long video. That's the other thing I really like, an hour-long video of guys who largely skated similarly and rippers, and I loved it. It hit the saturation point for me, and I found the Lord. I found the Lord, and my whole compass north on life was changed. So getting good at skateboarding was no longer an identity for me. It was a part of life, not my life. And so you'll find that with me, but that's why I'm the way I am. And I'm watching the comments skeeling forth with Chris Gurley. talking about the shove it lines, and I know exactly which lines he's talking about because I watched them last night. I pulled up useless wooden toys, but ban this useless wooden toys. I don't think I've ever sat through them entirely because I can get stoked enough to skate on just watching the Rubber Boys on public domain.
Yes,
that's enough for me to get up and go skate, and that's what I want to be like. I want to be the guy who gets up and goes and skates. I want skateboarding to be like that. I always struggled with passive media, like consuming media.
Yeah.
In skateboarding, because skateboarding is for doing, which is ironic. I should be, like you would think a guy would be better at skateboarding than I am, if that was the way I was. But you know what? Skateboarding is just part of it.
Yeah. You're not bad though, dude.
No, I'm not a bad skateboarder.
No, you're probably if there was 100, if you could break it all down, if there was 100 skateboarders in the room, you would definitely be probably in the top 30 at
75.
least. No, dude.
You'd definitely be one of them if you were.
Yeah, you definitely would be one of them though.
Top 30.
For sure, or top 20 even.
That's hilarious. I can't even do a nose pick. I don't have any core strength.
I don't have any
core strength.
It's because we didn't go to Cleveland, dude.
If I'd gone to Cleveland, I'd have core strength. Oh my gosh. So funny.
Cleveland, the Destin, Florida of Ohio.
Cleveland is the Destin, Florida of Ohio.
I'm going to start that, dude. I just want Cleveland to be a place that I dream about.
We really have neglected talking about Akron and Toledo.
No, it's Cleveland, baby.
And by neglected, I was saying we really should continue to neglect talking about Akron and Toledo.
Dude, port cities, Ohio's actually a really cool state, and those cities are very cool. They're on like an ocean of water. You know what I mean?
Dude, I am totally into doing an Ohio tour. This is the other thing, like we're doing this. Sorry, Rocco. I gotta close this door. One of the things I want to do is get back out there on the road.
Yes.
And get us to where we're what do you call it? Going out there and skating and touring again and talking to people. There's so many people I'd like to, not just like have an hour-long sit-down with. We have a comment. Chris Gurley comments, I'm 101. 101 was too far for me.
Oh my gosh.
I really am not down with the super take itself seriously skateboarding that came after about 1990. It got thick with a lot of like attitude, and the Rocco era that happened after that. My mind was on serious things. My mind remains on serious things. So even when I engage with like, what does it mean to run a brand, and what does it mean to have a team, and what does it mean to provide a product? I really am the guy who digs down and wants things to be much more meaningful than most people when they do that. Oh, I see. Chris Gurley saying out of 100 skaters in a room, he'd be rated 101. What? Now we have to rate the line waiting to get in.
I know, dude. I know.
I don't think that I'm number 30 when Chris Gurley is number 101. I went down to Memphis and I went down to Memphis in April of 2020.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing? Were you there
I was down there checking on Chris because Chris was one of the reps for life.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I feel like it was 2020. Was it 2021?
Yeah.
No, it was 2020. I don't know when anything happened.
It's fine.
I need to build a life timeline.
Oh.
Well, anyway, I was down there with Chris, and my truck was acting up.
Oh, I remember, dude.
Yeah. My truck was being a mixer.
You don't want that.
A mixer is when your antifreeze and your transmission fluid are all
just
in
one
each other.
Yes, dude.
And I had driven down.
Yes.
And I was losing coolant behind the water pump, and my antifreeze and my transmission fluid were mixed, and I was 50 miles outside Memphis on the way down.
Yes.
I drove down the rest of the way with the dog.
Yes.
Stayed with Chris. and called up home. I drove around Memphis. Because it's done, dude. You're getting a new transmission.
It's over.
You
Yeah,
know?
like you're just in it.
So I got my transmission fluid and my coolant. They're mixing. It's usually the failure of an O-ring in the radiator.
Yes.
Those two are kept apart by like an O-ring thing.
Like 1/16 of rubber.
And that's why you don't ever have them do your transmission fluid at the oil change place with their machine that pumps in new fluid, because a lot of them damage that O-ring and then you get a mixer. So I was down in Memphis driving a mixer. I put some copper in there, you know, the copper goo. I put in some copper goo, and Chris and I drove around. I went to the Indoor, which is a cafe, skate shop, indoor skate park. It was during, there were a lot of rules and regulations and expectations.
With the vid?
Yeah, because COVID was happening. And then, you could just, everywhere was weird. But I really enjoyed my time with Chris and his wonderful wife, Trisha. And then I got my kids to come down and meet me at a hotel. I stayed over in a hotel, and because I had to add time to my thing and whatever, I had some sort of time thing, and I got a hotel, and my kids came down. Aaron came down with someone else. I don't remember who else came down with them, but they came down just in case, so we could try and drive it all the way home.
Yes. Just in case.
With antifreeze as transmission fluid.
Yes.
You know, mixed.
You'll have that.
Like Nestle Quick.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we drove out. I remember we were just leaving the hotel. We got onto the highway, and the temperature gauge just starts creeping up really high. And you're like, oh, it's burning out. And the darndest, I had stopped, and I just freaking up. Before I even got to Memphis, when I first saw what was happening, I prayed to Almighty God. I said, Almighty God, you're King of the universe. You know what you're doing. I'm gonna not freak out. I'm gonna do the things I have to do. And if you get me home, I'll thank you. And if I don't get home and my truck breaks down and I have to have it towed to a shop in some town somewhere, hours and hours and hours from my home, I will count that as your adventure for me.
Yeah.
And I will trust that something that is good to you will come out of this. Good to him. And and I wound up being able to drive all the way home from Memphis.
Yeah, that's insane.
The temp creeped up, and then it just came down. And it thing was like kind of slipping here and there. I parked it. I thought about it. And around about November, I put it in a shop and got a new transmission in it. And I just got it back today. Second time.
Yes.
Another transmission's in it. This time looks like I got a good one, and I didn't have to pay for this one.
It's awesome.
So, yeah, $900 truck, $3,500 transmission, you know. Now I got a super upgraded heavy-duty torque converter. Billet, ordered it from Oregon. And, I mean, yeah. So, thanks to Bill, Joe, and Eddie over at Amco on Reading Road.
Yes, seriously.
Brought to you also by...
Yes.
Yeah. Brought to you also by Bill, Joe, and Eddie over on Reading Road, Amco Transmission Shop. For all of your transmission shop needs. But you know, there's another good transmission shop around here called Chemico. And I know Steve at Chemico from working on bikes. And
all these places sound like manufacturing plants.
But they
I love it.
Build transmissions.
I love it, dude.
Man,
love
Amco and Chemico.
Yes.
Legit.
So...
That was legit.
That
That kid, man, seriously, we
Makes
should
me
all
so
be
happy.
more like that kid.
Yeah, for real.
Bro, you know what never sat right with me was picking on scooter kids.
No, me neither.
It just doesn't sit right with me.
I don't like that at all.
I'm telling you, we need to wake up because we made fun of scooter kids, and I didn't, but we as a body of skateboarders, we made fun of scooter kids, but we were blowing it.
Yep.
We were the ones that were blowing it.
Yep.
Yep. So
they were smart ones. They went and did something fun.
Yeah.
And they have a great time. Have you ever seen them at the skate park?
They have a great time, but they feel scared that the skateboard guys are gonna be mad at them.
Yeah, well.
And sometimes the scooter kids don't know what they're doing, and they do get crushed.
Dude. Dude. I have smoked a scooter kid or two in my day. I'm very careful around them because you will hurt them. They're so little, and I go very fast.
Have you ever run into a kid, and then when you run into them, you grab them?
Yes.
And they bounce off of you, and then you swing them around?
Yes.
That's what I've done so many times when I've hit a kid, is if you hit a child, and then all that energy transfers into them, if you grab them, it comes back to you, and the two of you are sort of swinging. But if you don't grab them, they fly, and their little noggins just hit the ground. That's what I say to scooter kids. I'm like, look here, little scooter kid, if I run into you, I'm going to try and grab you, so all you got is broken ribs or a broken arm. And that'll keep you. But if your head hits that ground, I'll tell it to the little scooter. So if your head hits that ground, your little noggin is going to crack open, and your brains will come out. You will die.
Yes.
So please be careful, because it's a two-man job to stay safe at a skate park. And whoever it is going to hit you.
It is, dude.
Did you ever get hit by a biker?
I've been hit by a biker twice, dude. One of them was very bad for the biker and almost very bad for me. He hit my I rolled into a quarter pipe in Bloomington at the outdoor there, and the guy came over the hip. We had been skating this like half pipe section, and I rolled in, and the guy came over the hip into the half pipe section, and as I was kind of hitting the flat bottom, he came into the training and he hit my shin or the back of my calf, and he got the worst of it. He flipped over his handlebars. I was okay. I felt very bad, but I also was like, I was rolling in. This was kind of, why were you over the hip? And then another time I was at Ollie's. I was in the smaller half pipe, skating the 5-foot section, and all I heard was the whir of the wheels. Somebody had rolled in on me, and I stopped. Yeah, literally, it was like zzz, and thankfully, I think I grabbed his handlebars or something. And I was like, no, it was such a weird, it was so strange when people do that. They just come in on you, and you're like, I'm in here, hello.
I was at a park in Knoxville.
Oh, bro, you got rocked.
You weren't there, were you?
I weren't, but I've heard this story. It was so gnarly, dude.
Kentucky really came out there.
Yeah, bro.
I weren't there.
I weren't.
Ain't got no gas in it.
Ain't got no gas.
Yeah, I was in a park in Knoxville, and there was a young boy on a bicycle.
Yes.
Silent, and he was snaking.
Yes.
He was really dangerous because he obviously felt entitled to occupy and just run really long lines in a crowded park day.
Yeah.
I get it, man. And the Northern Kentucky guys, like, who show up at Florence and used to show up at Ollie's, they were always really cool.
Dude, they were badass.
They worked really hard. They are one of the most civil group.
Yes.
They worked really hard to not hit anyone.
Yep.
And I really respect those guys.
Yep.
Years and years and years, 20 some odd years of skating around here with those guys, and they always worked really hard not to kill anyone.
Yeah.
But in Knoxville this time, we'd been there, it was getting, and this guy had been a problem the whole time. He had like an attitude about his entitlement to run lines that were really dangerous, really close, rolling in on people, cutting across people after they drop in.
Dark.
And what I know is I made sure everything was clear. I'm old school that way. I'm not a guy who snakes in on people. I made sure the line was clear. I had to wait and really make sure, and I was watching him. And I looked, he saw me, I saw him. He was across the park, really pretty far from me.
Yeah.
And I dropped in, and
there he was.
There he was. he had rolled in after I had dropped in. He'd even seen me. Yeah. We had looked at each other.
Right.
This guy, there he was. There was no blind alley, nothing. And I figured that he looked at me. I mean, our like eyes locked, but he didn't see me.
Right.
Like, it just wasn't in this young one's mind.
Yeah.
Because what happened next couldn't have been intentional, because it didn't go well for him.
Yeah.
He hit me. I had a mark on the front of my head where my head hit his head.
Oh no, dude.
or something. I think it hit his head.
Bro.
And then I had a mark on the back of my head where my head hit the ground.
Bro.
Back here.
Yes.
So I'm on the ground and I'm waking up, and my son Aaron, who was probably 17 at the time,
yeah,
is standing over me, and he's grabbed me he's picking me up, and he's like pulling me out of the bicycle. I was wrapped up in the bicycle. No broken bones.
Yep.
Not even really bad bruises. And it was the first or second stop of a tour all the way down to stay multiple days in Georgia, skating an indoor ramp.
Yep.
And really spending time in Atlanta. And he's pulling me out of this bicycle.
Gosh.
My legs were like wrapped up in it.
Right.
And he like pulls me out. Aaron is very strong. And he pulls me out and stands me up. He was lifting me up, and he stands me up. So I saw him when he was over me, and then he lifted me up and got me out of the bicycle. And then he reached down and he grabbed the bike, his BMX bike.
Yes.
And he just flung it.
Yes.
And it was just gone. It went like
yeah.
60 feet.
Yeah.
He just flung it.
Yes.
Because I don't know where that kid was. He wasn't unconscious.
Yeah.
So I hope he was unharmed.
Yes.
But he flung the bike, and Aaron didn't like spend a whole lot of time like yelling or cursing or doing anything stupid.
Right.
He just paid attention to me, pulled me over to the side, and I remember thinking, we better go now.
Yeah.
Before the cops get here.
Right.
I'm not sure what all had happened, but that was my thought. I was real foggy.
Right.
So we left and we went to Cracker Barrel. I took the team to Cracker Barrel, and we sat down. I remember I did not have a headache, but I wasn't there. Like, I was really relaxed, but I also was like, I can't drive. Like,
did you puke?
No.
Good.
I never
Good.
puked. I didn't have a headache.
Good.
But I was, and for 3 years after that, I had trouble finding the right word for things.
No, dude.
Yeah.
I hate that for you.
Really. I saw blackness.
Okay.
I was gone when it happened.
Right.
I was out. I was gone. I remember seeing him over there, and then I remember looking up as I had pumped a spot, and I looked up, and boom, he was there. And it was so egregious. I'm not like the guy that you would want to target, you know?
Yeah.
But the kid was pretty messed up. That's what, at least my impression of it was, that the kid who hit me was pretty messed up in the mix of it. I don't know if he was
like banged up after the accident.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought he was real banged up, and that he was actually like getting medical care or something.
Dude,
you know?
It's so dark. It's like, bro, what did you think was going to occur? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that's cool about kids.
Yeah.
Is they don't think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he was young. He was 15, 16 years old.
Sure.
You know, and one of the cool things about kids is they're not thinking like, oh, I need to make sure that nothing happens.
Right.
You know, they don't. They like get in there and they just rip it.
Right.
And it produces some of the coolest, stuff, and it's cool. You know, I mean, I have to back it.
No, I get it. I just hate it for them because things like that happen. And I've had many, many, many close calls. Thankfully, I'm pretty quick on my feet, and I'm really cognizant of what's happening at the skate park. But, dude, like, you can really hurt somebody, and you can really be hurt by other people.
People do. We had someone die. We had a couple times in my time here in Cincinnati. We've had people die at the skate park.
It sucks.
I haven't been there when someone died at a skate park, but I've been there right after twice. Day of, someone died at the skate park, or died from what happened at the skate park.
Ugh.
And it is, it's heartbreaking.
It is, dude. One time on skateboarding injuries, this one is so savage. This guy I was skating with in California, we were there.
Is this the chip of wood?
Yes, it is, dude. This one is
great.
So savage,
Tell
dude.
this, dude, take your time.
Yeah, this one
I'm
is.
going to pour a cup of coffee for this one.
Dude.
For our listeners, now's a good time to light up a cigarette or get a cup of coffee, because this story is so good.
Oh, bro.
Tell it, Luke.
This guy was trying this trick. He was extremely talented and still is.
Where were you?
I was in L.A. I can't remember the park.
What was it like?
Super nice, very ritzy
That's
part.
just LA.
Like northern LA, like in the burbs somewhere. They had this immaculate skate park. And this guy had been trying this trick.
Name one feature in that park.
There's a massive bowl with a big full pipe in the middle of it. There's also a quarter pipe with a palm tree in the middle, and the quarter pipe goes around the palm tree. It's super cool.
Now it's a volcano.
Yeah,
a volcano with a palm tree. So yes. our all of our LA listenership.
They'll be like, you idiot! It's this park.
Yes.
I want to say it's like Santa Clarita. That's what it is. It's
Santa Clarita. Yeah. All right. So you were in Santa Clarita
at the skate park.
All right, and you have a friend who is super talented. Is still super talented.
He was trying like a frontside nose grind on a rail and was getting super duper close. And then we were going to leave. We'd been there for hours. It was dark, had lights. And he essentially, like last trick or whatever, tried it one more time. I was standing right there. And he gets on the rail and he gets off and his feet are on the board. And what happens is that his feet are on the nose and the tail really far out. And his front foot slips off the nose and it bing the board up right into his face. Like it levered the board right into his face.
Where on his face did it hit him?
Well, it hit him right there in between the point of his chin and the bottom lip. So like right in that soft palate area
hit
or
him
whatever.
In the gum area of his outer lip.
Yes, of his outer lip. And it hit him so hard and everybody was like, ooh, and then he leans over and there's blood pouring out of his mouth and we're like, dude, he totally just destroyed his lip. That's what I'm thinking. He cut
broke
his lip
his
real bad.
teeth out, right?
Like really gnarly. So I run over to him and the only thing that he says is, oh no, I can't breathe. And then he stops talking and I was like, fuck. So he's leaned over, there's blood pouring out of his mouth and I look down and I realize there's a piece of the skateboard like in his lip. That's all I know. A chip. It was probably like half an inch wide by like an inch and a half long.
See, on a proper American press
it wouldn't do that.
You would have laminate bonds that would keep.
Yes.
So he would only have lost all his teeth.
Exactly, which would have been so much better.
Would it have?
No.
So
he bent over. He said, "I can't breathe." He's on the ground. I think he's on his knees. He's got his face bent over. So
he's just pouring blood.
So I think immediately somebody said, we need to call 911 like right now. This is bad. So somebody calls 911. I got my shirt off. I'm holding it against his mouth. I'm rubbing his back, praying over him, just telling him, hey man, it's going to be okay. Like we got you. The police are coming. One of the guys that was there was having such a freak out. He was like really struggling. He was super freaked out. Yeah. I was super chill. I was like, okay, we're in action mode.
And there's a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Visible.
Yeah, there's all you can see is the end of it. Okay. And it's kind of as things progress, it's harder and harder to see because his lip is swelling up.
Oh my gosh.
So we hear the sirens come, the paramedics get there, they come down to him, and the guy is seeing it, and he gets on his radio, and he's like, yeah, it looks like a kid busted his lip really bad. And I'm like, no, bro, there's a piece of skateboard in there. And he's like, oh, and he looks down, and there's just the tip of the skateboard, like blood dripping off it, and he's like, okay. Yep, he's got a piece of skateboard in his mouth. So they get him out, put him in the ambulance, and he goes to the hospital. I go with him with one of the leaders of the organization I was with, and it turned out the piece of wood had gone through the bottom lip, through his tongue, and pinned it to the roof of his mouth. Like literally like dunk, dunk, dunk. Like literally like so gnarly. So they put him in the ICU and they were going to put a trach in him because they were nervous his tongue was going to swell up to such a point that he wouldn't be able to breathe, or maybe he was going to swallow it. Thankfully, they didn't do that. His parents, he's from Texas, so his parents flew up. I spent the night in the hospital with them. And they took the piece out, they sewed him up and everything. But dude, I was so freaked out for like 2 weeks. Did they sew up his tongue? They sewed up his tongue, everything. He couldn't talk like this. And he still has a bit of a lisp on him because he literally destroyed his mouth. But dude, I was so freaked out. I was super freaked out. I was like, I don't know if I want to skateboard like anymore because it was such a freak accident. You know what I mean? Like literally, I was like, this could happen to anybody at any time. Like I jump down stuff sometimes. Like it was so gnarly, dude. The guy almost fucking died. Like it was so brutal. Somewhere on my phone, I have a picture of him in the ambulance with the he's sitting on the thing and he's like doing the thumbs up with a big kind of like derped out smile on his face. It was so good
with the piece of wood in it.
Yeah, like thumbs up. Dude, the guy got rocked.
It went into
to the soft pallet on the top of his
the
ribs,
hard pallet.
Or, yeah, hard pallet, like like pinned it up there. They were gonna like trach him, like he stayed in the ICU for days because they were really nervous. His tongue was gonna swell up. He was gonna swallow it. He got out. He still skates. He's married. He's got a family. He's a great dude. I care about him. But dude, that one was oofta. Like I've seen some skateboarding injuries. I've watched people break some ankles and stuff, but that one was like. I literally for like 2 weeks, I think I skated, but I kept it real chill because I was so scared. I was like, dude, it was such a gnarly, gnarly injury. You know what I mean? Like, who in the world would have ever thought that could happen? But there it was, dude. I think he still has the chip. I mean, the chip was huge, bro.
How long was that chip of wood?
I mean, it was probably like this long. I mean, it was so long.
About 3 inches long?
Yeah, 2
by
inches.
By half an inch.
Yeah, dude, and it just speared him right through it, dude. It was like
through his tongue.
Yeah, through his tongue. It literally pinned it. And that's why he said he can't breathe, because he couldn't open his mouth and there was blood in his mouth. So that's why he was leaned over. The blood was coming out of his mouth. Thankfully, he could still breathe through his nose. So, he wasn't like lack of oxygen or anything.
Well, that's why I appreciate the cross-branding in the market of skateboarding between skateboarding and brands and Leatherman tools.
Yeah, I know. Dude,
Leatherman tools came out with a skate tool, and they came out with a bunch of stuff. And if skaters would be wise, they would have a Leatherman tool.
Literally.
To reach up before the swelling really kicks in.
And just grab that.
Pull that piece of wood out, and now all you have to worry about is bleeding to death.
It's bleeding. Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's why I think skateboarding should cross-brand with those tourniquet makers and trauma kit makers. I really do. It would be sick to have a trauma kit in your skate bag.
Well, dude,
one more reason for some hodad to steal your stuff.
I know. I used to carry like the ice packs that you crush and shake up. I always carry ace planes.
I used to have those in the van.
Yeah, I think I got the idea from you. Because, dude, all the time, I helped a guy one time, fell backwards, hit his head. It was in an indoor park. They didn't have foam on the I-beams, and he just bumped his head against it, but it split him like wide open. So I helped him, get it closed and cleaned and everything. That was another one that was pretty gnarly. I was like, bro.
And that makes me glad that skateboarding has popularized and cross-branded so effectively with beanie makers.
Exactly.
Because a beanie can protect your head from a laceration.
It really would have.
Yeah.
It really would have, dude.
So where are we now? We're at Leatherman tool for extracting large impalements, which is the dumbest thing to do with impalement.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't extract an impalement.
Right, yes.
But I would.
Yeah.
Also, super glue.
Yes.
That whole situation could have been a go home, sit on the couch.
Yes.
A few tubes worth of super glue, and that kid would have been just fine.
Dude.
Trauma kits.
Oh my gosh.
Leatherman tool, super glue, trauma kit. And just if you pack the mouth with gauze, the tongue can't
swallow. Yes.
That's right. You want to just pack, but you need to pack all the way back to the uvula. Right, which is fine because gauze is a long contiguous thing and you can just pull it all out.
Yeah, when they swallow it.
About 2 weeks later, you pull all that out. You're going to want to dump a packet of sulfa in there to fight infection.
Dude.
I got this. Bro.
Yeah, it was so gnarly.
I do. Just treat that right there.
Yeah, no problem, bud.
Put your knee on their clavicle so they hold still.
Yeah, just yank that out.
Take care of it right there.
Yeah, thank you for Leatherman.
Ice packs, beanies.
Yes.
Yep, they have armored beanies now. There are companies that come out with an armored beanie, which is like supposed to give you D3 protection or D5 protection.
No way.
Yeah, it's born to fail.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good idea though.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
Yes. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Dude, it's spicy, dude. It's so spicy.
Well, you've seen broken ankles.
Yes, I watched a friend snap his ankle. Trying to half cab or a full cab or something. I was like, dude, it's probably sprained. He's like, no, I broke it.
Down something?
No, it was on flat ground. My friend Aaron, dude.
I'm out now. It was
so funny. He'd broken it like 3 times before, and he was like, nope, I broke it. And I drove my car on the sidewalk down to the skate park and picked him up and put it in it. We went to the hospital together. Yeah. Oh, dude, another gnarly one. This one is so brutal. A friend of mine, she was a chick. She was learning how to skate. She went down a pretty steep bank.
A well-respected female participant practitioner of skateboarding.
Exactly. And she banana peeled and came down hard on her arm. And we thought she had broken her arm, but she actually put her elbow out of place. She actually put her elbow out of place.
Oh, it's bad.
And they drugged her up, and I was in the room when they put that back into place.
Did they take her hand and rotate it to put it back in?
They rotated it, but dude, he was like had his knee on her shoulder,
on
and
her
upper
humerus,
arm, literally, and I think they had 2 people yanking on her, dude. Like,
yes.
And it finally went back into place. It was okay, but that one was savage. We thought she just snapped that arm like a broken log, but it was just an out of place elbow.
I got a phone call one time from a friend of mine who is a licensed massage therapist.
Yes.
And he goes and works on people. And he was in my neck of the woods, and he called me up because I'm not a licensed massage therapist, but
yeah.
I have a table and I work on people. And he called me up and he's like, I've got a guy who woke up in his sleep. He dislocated his shoulder.
Ugh.
And it was one of those dislocations where the ball of the shoulder comes down into the armpit. So that's the second time I've seen one of those. And he wanted me to come to the guy's house and help him put it back in.
God.
And
oof, dude.
And so we hauled on that poor dude for about an hour, gently trying to coax this thing back in. And he did we wound up backing off of it and saying, you better go get help.
Yeah.
So he got to the hospital, and they had to dope him up and really go to town to get that thing back in.
Dude, it's insane how hard they pull on people. They literally have 2 guys, one holding the person down, 2 of them yanking on that arm to get it back into place. Like, oof.
I used to have a half pipe at my house when I was 15. It was a big deal because, it was awesome. It was 12 feet wide, 3 feet high. Would have loved 16 or 20 feet, but it was where it fit.
Yep.
My parents were kind enough to provide me with a half pipe. I mean, it was really nice. And
who built it?
A boy who I went to high school with.
Oh, cool.
Knew how to build them.
Sick.
And he came over and directed us, and we built this half pipe. And one of my friends fell, and he was real tall and gangly, and he was a remarkably floppy person. Even his whole personality was floppy and gangly.
Yeah, right.
And didn't care. And he was really funny, and grew up into an amazing person. But he fell, and he did that dislocation where the shoulder pops out into the armpit, and it's one of my lifelong memories of. We were sort of a 3-man group, me and Dan and Steve. And Dan had a truck, and we put him in the truck. I was in the middle and holding up his arm. It was his left arm.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting on the window seat, and I'm holding up his arm. He's tall, really tall, so I had to hold his arm up because his shoulder was above my shoulder. And if it came down at all, he was a screamer.
Yes, dude.
He was a real screamer. Like, he was a loud screaming guy.
Yes.
And he was really squawking.
Yes, dude.
And
jeez.
Dan was real nervous and serious about it, but I was laughing. I was laughing because, at least I remember it this way, that I was laughing because, you're remembering things from 35 years ago.
Right.
Holy cow. We got him to a hospital after driving to his mom where she was working at a dentist office, and she had to give him the insurance information. He went to a hospital somewhere 40 minutes away. Whatever. And Dan and I were waiting in the waiting room, and they took him up to the 2nd or 3rd floor, and we could hear him screaming,
bro,
like torture screaming, crystal clear on the first floor. I think he was 2 floors above us.
Oh my gosh, Dad!
He was screaming like you just wouldn't believe.
Yes.
And it was my impression at this time in our friendship that he was not a particularly tough individual.
Yeah.
That was a kind of a large take.
Right.
He really did not, to me, seem to be a really tough individual. I was a black belt in martial arts and had, geez, I'd been knocked out by being kicked in the groin twice. I'd been knocked out by being kicked in the head. I'd had my sternum broken.
Bro, did you really?
Yeah. Had my sternum broken. And not only was my sternum fractured, but I was in class the next day.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, I trained through the pain, you know.
Oh,
it was actually a weird break because it was less painful than I thought it would be.
but there's nothing you can do for it.
No, there's nothing you can do for a
just
broken
like,
sternum.
It'll heal.
I've broken my ribs now. I've had 7 to 9 rib breaks now. That's because some of them were multiple rib breaks in the incident, and you know, identifiable 9 rib breaks. Maybe a couple of them were torn intercostal tissue, but these screams
Just wafting down from the second floor.
They were exquisite. It was.
They must have been yanking on him, dude.
Well, you knew that he was. You knew that he was safe and he was in care. They were removing his arm with no anesthetic, but he may have preferred it.
Yes,
now,
dude.
This guy, who I didn't think was that tough, went on to become an Army Ranger.
Dang, really?
Yeah, and he saw active duty. He was a machine gunner with the big gun, with the bipod.
Yes.
And the bandoliers.
Yes, dude.
He was that guy.
Like a unit.
I don't know which machine gun that is, but that was his job, and he carried that heavy kit. And he was in Mogadishu.
Jeez.
He was in Haiti, and he was amazing. He has grown into one of the people who I think are some of the most interesting people of the whole world.
Yeah, that's so cool.
He is. He's got a really interesting perspective and attitude on life.
Do you still talk to him?
Now and then.
That's awesome.
I do.
What's
I actually
his
got to. I will not say.
Okay.
I won't say because I haven't cleared with him to even say I know him. But really enjoy the memory. we went. My buddy who was with me in the waiting room was like, I gotta get out of here. You know, like type of a vibe. You know, more of a vibe than saying it. He may have said it. So we went outside. We can still hear the screaming.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was 35 years ago. So is that so, or do I just remember it that way? But it would be super cool to get the 3 of us back together again and talk about how our lives have gone since then. And that might be an insane episode.
Yes.
That really might be a good one.
That'd be cool.
Whoa.
That'd be a super
3
cool.
high school skateboarding friends 35 years later.
Okay.
How much different are we than we thought we would be? Blah, 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 blah.
Whoa.
You know?
It's actually a great idea.
Yeah, I think that
All right.
I might do what I can to make that happen.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing we want to do. You know what I mean? Like, this is a podcast. We should include that in the lyrics of our intro song.
This is a podcast.
We got it from Pottery Barn. Pottery Barn makes its way into a lot of our impromptu songs around here.
Yes.
So, that was fun.
Yes.
I had a good time talking about those things.
Me too, dude.
I did, and we stayed live on Facebook. I had a guy break his wrist on my half pipe. He broke it pretty badly. What are the two? You got a radius and an ulna.
Yeah, I believe so.
Which is the big one?
I don't know, dude. We can look it up.
What's the big one?
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
I got you, bud.
He broke the big one. Ulna.
It might be.
Yeah, he broke the ulna. I know that because my son Aaron broke both of his ulnas
at the same
in
time.
one shot.
Yes. Poor guy.
Also a great story.
Yeah.
He was 10. He was 10, and I had purchased I had purchased it's a longboard. I'll bring it up and tell the story sometime because when you see it, you'll know why he fell. I told him not to ride it. I told him, I said, don't ride it. Yeah. So my friend broke his ulna on my half pipe. He was young. We were like 14, 15. And he was just a little guy. You know, he was a 15-year-old kid. And he was like,
bro.
Now, my other buddy would have been screaming.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I prefer
This kid was shuddering, and he was like going into shock. Like,
oh, dude.
You can die from shock.
No, literally. It's bad, dude.
What's the deal with shock? It pulls all the blood from every extremity
to your heart
and lungs,
and probably
into your core. No, your brain is included with the extremities.
Wow.
Design flaw?
Yeah, or
Bug?
feature?
Feature?
I don't know. Yeah, dude. It's like, hey, we're dying, by the way.
You know, yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to reroute all the blood, okay, from the extremities. It's like, why is head on that list?
I know, dude.
So the problem with taking all the blood from your head is that your brain is what tells your heart to keep pumping.
Yeah, like, hey, man.
I may have misunderstood shock. I may have. I'm going to write shock down.
Yes,
we're going to talk about that
it,
because I think I may have misunderstood shock. But he was shocking.
Yes.
And so we did the elevate the legs and you know, get the blood. I don't know how shock works. But I put a flip-flop in his hand.
Yes.
Like this, and then I duct taped a flip-flop to his hand.
Yes.
For him to hold it like that. And then his mom came and really angry. My parents were afraid we were going to get sued because it was New York in the 80s. And everyone just sued and sued and sued. And I'm going to sue you.
Oh,
and they were going to sue you.
Yes.
Of course. The 80s in New York.
Dude.
Yeah. You know, we never did get sued there.
That's nice.
Yeah. That is remarkable with the number of kids getting hurt on my half pipe at my house.
Yes.
Yeah, we had the wrist break, we had the dislocated shoulder, and I don't know how they label those dislocations, but that dislocation of the shoulder where your shoulder comes out into your armpit,
it's a rough
that happens when you fall down like this, you know, like onto transition, and it pops it down into your armpit.
Right.
That's a tricky one. Yeah. That's a real tricky one.
Yeah.
I can't help but wonder if I had to put it in myself, if I grabbed their wrist really tight and I put my heel into their armpit, and then I got maybe someone else, we could tie some things around their arm and pull it out really far, and just maybe that's exactly the wrong thing to do that would cause lifelong nerve damage and paralysis.
Right.
That would be a good one to learn, because I know that with elbow breaks and stuff, you I don't know what to do for that either, but I know I could make something up.
Yes.
That might make it worse, might make it better. Slamming a door, the shoulder dislocation where it comes out in front,
bro.
You know, hey, there's a guy that just joined the Facebook Live named Dave Peeler.
Yes.
Dave and I haven't seen each other since I was about 15.
Oh, maybe he's one of the...
Dave is one of the guys that I skated with in New York when I was just a kid.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. Dave owned a skate shop in New York after I left and was gone forever.
Yes.
He's a Poughkeepsie guy.
Oh.
Yeah, from Poughkeepsie. That was
cool.
That was an intense time. The 1990s New York skateboarding, and Dave stayed in the mix.
Dude.
As far as I know, he works on cars and stuff now. Dave, I just told the story of Skinny Steve getting his shoulder. You weren't there when he fell, but it was a great story, and it came from our time, our era.
Yes, dude. Dude, you know what's not to change the subject too much,
Yeah,
but you know what's fascinating about when you're talking about shock? I learned that when a person dies of hypothermia, this is crazy, dude. Right when the body is like, okay, we're done, it releases all the warm blood from your core because it takes everything into your core to try to keep you alive.
Yeah.
And so people talk about who survive it, they talk about experiencing a euphoric sense of warmth. They'll take off their coats. A lot of times they're found without their clothes on because they get so hot. So your body just like lets loose. All the warm blood from your core goes out to all your extremities that at this point I'm probably frostbitten and about to die. And you get hot. And you just lay down and you just want to sleep. And people just lay down and sleep and die. It's crazy what our bodies do.
You know, I learned something about when people get hypothermic.
Yes.
That when you warm them back up, that they can die of heart attacks.
Which is
strokes.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, because the blood pressure does really weird things. So a lot of times they'll take like a bunch of people who got super cold and they'll put them into a room to warm them up, and like 6 of them will die.
Dude. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah, so like the thing to do is like put them in a room and open all the windows so that it's just like 40 degrees in there.
Right.
And it sucks.
Yes, dude, because they're like, I'm so cold still.
You know what it reminds me of? The bends.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, scuba divers who get their nitrogen imbalance, and then they come up, and then their blood bubbles nitrogen, causes all kinds of neurological damage and crazy cardiovascular damage. I mean, geez, Pete's, man.
Dude,
I'm just gonna stay home and watch Netflix.
Yeah, dude. I have a coworker who dives, and we talk about that stuff sometimes.
How do you do? I mean, what do? You just like, I mean, if you're diving, you got a certain amount of time on your tank.
Yes.
And you got to just hang out at the right depth.
Yes.
For your blood to regulate. And
yes.
you know how long that takes.
Yes.
What happens if you overstayed your deep time?
Then
you don't have enough air, you have enough oxygen, air, whatever in your tank for your decompression. Are you going to just risk it? And then is there going to be some dive guy who's like, nah, it's okay. Dude. There's always a guy. There's always a guy who's like, nah, it's okay. Your parachute doesn't have to be packed perfect.
Yeah, right. It's fine. Well, dude, they have dive computers like that are super expensive that everybody has to use, and the dive computer will calculate how much air, like PSI, is left in the tank and where you need to go up to stay and all kinds of. And then they do mixes as you go deeper. The air compresses in a strange way, and you have to have like they mix in helium and other types of air for deep diving.
Yeah, but then you go even deeper, and you're going to meet SCP-163, the sentient octopus shapeshifter in Lake whatever it is, Lake Bratislava.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somewhere in Ukraine.
Dude, it's nuts.
Dude, and then the guys who dive in caves. We had talked about the movie 13 Lost Kids in the Philippines.
13 Lives.
Or, dude,
I won't watch it.
Dude, if anybody is interested in having their blood pressure spike for like 2.5 hours, that movie is insane, dude.
However, if you want your blood pressure to come down, make sure and try the fine products from Life Skateboards. Life Skateboards, handcrafting quality shred lumber for you.
Yes.
I thought we'd do a station break
I love it. Yes, dude. I loved it.
I skate a beast. It's a 14.75 wheelbase. That's actually shorter than stock on this one.
Yes.
14.75 wheelbase, pocketed up. I like the Life concave. It's very deep. It's very straight.
Right.
And it's 11 inches wide. It's like New Deal on steroids.
Yep.
It is. And you know, if you want to get out there and nose bonk something, this has a nose for you. It does. Yeah, so grab some Life Skateboards. And also, Life Skateboards made the decision to open skate shop accounts.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's pretty cool. So
shred lumber.
Shred lumber.
Yes,
there you go, Frankie.
Yes.
Frankie's on Life.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Frankie, hit me up with a message. I want to correspond with you some more. We should talk.
Uh-huh.
I don't even remember where Frank's from.
He's from St. Louis. I think I just saw it.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So, yeah. So, this has been fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, our only goal here was to share 2 news stories.
Yes. And
talk about CapmLew podcast being CapmLew here with co-Captain Luke. And then when Luke starts a podcast, we'll just switch seats.
Dude, I don't want to. I just would rather do it together.
You shouldn't.
Dude.
It's a nightmare.
I just want to take it from a guy who has one.
Take it from a guy with some. I've been doing my own podcast for like a month and a half now.
We should think about a documentary, I think.
We should do a documentary about the podcast.
Yeah.
We need to hurry.
Yeah, I think.
Quick, before there's any history.
Right, exactly, yeah.
We're spoofing because our part of the country is legendary for doing something for 2 years and then making a documentary about it. And I'm like, at my age, I'm like,
really?
Yeah. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Dude.
Accuse me of being self-promotional. Go for it. While you're making a documentary about yourself 2 years later, accuse me of being self-promotional.
Right,
it's good.
Being a money grabbler.
Oh, I'm a little. Did you say grabbler?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That's not a Nazi Jew.
Yeah, well, you're a Nazi Jew.
That's not a Nazi Jew.
Yeah.
My gosh.
With
you know what? Son. Now we're definitely going to be deplatformed.
I can't wait. Dude, I heard today that racism towards Jews was
they put out a national
peak.
Yeah, the Department of Homeland Security put out a deadly threat level midnight alert about violence against Jewish people.
I really hate that.
It struck me in Cincinnati, no sir.
Yes.
No sir. But in Brooklyn,
oof.
You know, it's kind of knockout gamey.
Yeah, it really
There's a lot of violence. In the street, and yeah.
Well, dude, what's interesting is the person that was listening to talk about this was making a correlation between the financial state of the country and that kind of racism, and it seemed like they had some sort of previous information about the way that those two are correlated, which is a fascinating idea, and very sad, but fascinating.
I'm going to be 50 in May.
Okay.
I'm not terribly old. And I read a lot. But I'm not terribly learned. But I have, in my wanderings and meanderings, I have picked up on a repeating dynamic in the history of the Jewish people.
Yes.
And it is that they exist in the world as this scattered people.
Yeah.
With a really relatively loosely held. I mean, there are Jewish people who are Reformed Jews,
right,
who barely hold even atheistic Jews.
Yes.
And then there are Orthodox Jews who
Yes.
are really pretty darn serious about it.
Yeah.
And
dude, it'd be cool to get a Jew on the podcast.
you kind of have one, sort of.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, no, I probably not. It's distant.
It's just.
It's distant.
Can you trace your bloodline?
It was said to my mom that there's enough in our line for us to be on the list.
Really?
When she was in college at Cornell, there was a faculty member who had moved there from Germany. This was in the 50s.
Jeez.
And he leaned over to my mom and he said, "That's enough to put you on the list." And he didn't say it in a friendly way.
Okay.
Even at that point in America, after all that had gone on, there was still enough sympathy for that type of speech for him to be bold enough to say it to a student in a menacing fashion.
Wow.
Dude, so what I notice is the Jews exist in the world.
Go ahead.
And you know what? They do well.
They do.
I heard there was a joke I didn't that the goyim wouldn't understand.
The goyim.
Yeah, that the non-Jews wouldn't understand. And well, anyway, the point of the joke was that one of the features of predominant general Jewish culture is that if one member of the community goes into business, 5 members of the community go into business. They always do collaborative business.
Yeah.
So if one of them owns a thing that does this and it needs that, the other one does a thing that needs that, and then they have business groups and networks. They're collaborative within their community. They have a closed community that's collaborative, and they just kill it.
That's sick.
They kill it because they hang together, and probably a few other reasons.
Yeah.
But for whatever reasons, they tend to do really well. And so in times when things are falling apart, things tend to fall together. And they tend to do well. And in the past, the contrast has been a part of them being persecuted. And that's why it's such an insidious thing for people to look around and find someone who has more than they have and decide that person is evil simply by dint of them doing well when others are not doing well.
Right.
And that happens to the Jewish community a lot.
It's dark.
It is dark, and it's common, and it repeats in history. And I tell you, the number one thing I'm not going to do is look at what my neighbor has and decide that they're bad because I don't have it.
Yep.
That's some 10 Commandments level or something about coveting.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know, dude.
It's a new covenant, Luke. Come on.
It is a new covenant, so even more.
Even worse.
Even deeper.
Perfect then.
Even deeper. Unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of God. Heaven. Yeah, I know. It's intense.
But I know. But I'm bad.
Well, the only way to access that kind of righteousness is through the covenant of forgiveness, mercy, and redemption that was offered through, turns out, Jewish Messiah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, he's the Messiah. Whatever you do, don't read Isaiah 52 through 54.
Or Jeremiah. Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying, Jeremiah 31. Don't read that.
Don't you do it, dude.
That Isaiah 52 through 54 has been called the forbidden chapter.
Yeah, I know, dude. I know.
It's been forbidden. Can't read and interpret that.
Yeah.
Don't. Oh, now you read it.
Yeah, I said don't.
Oh, now you read it. What are you going to do now? They're coming after your citizenship.
Yeah, come on, man.
That's happening right now.
It's really sad.
Oh, the Knesset's always been working on revoking the citizenship of people who have messianic sympathies.
Yes, I know.
It's fine.
Yeah, you'll have that.
You will have that in this world, but fear not. Rejoice, because he has overcome the world.
Yep.
I'm just saying. But just saying is more than enough.
Yes.
Yeah. So, We did it. 73 whole minutes of your listening pleasure. We hope that wherever you drove, whatever you were doing, whatever you were on your way to or from, that you were blessed while you were at it.
Yeah.
We hope that you know that you are loved, that you are important, you matter, and the world is a darker place without you. So there. Also, grab yourself some fresh shred lumbar for your lumbar. And
dude, we really need to skate.
We are about. Hey guys, guess what?
Oh my gosh!
This greasy, besmirched, and slightly scratched thing right here. This is an iPhone 12, and if I turn it right in the light, you can see it has a broken camera lens on it. I got it cheap. And as soon as this is done being repaired this week, we'll be able to start using it with its wide-angly goodnesses to record skate clips that don't bum me out when I watch them. Casper at Life took some clips of me, and he did such a great job. Luke simultaneously did long lens on them. Those are a couple months ago, and I'm excited about this little piece of tech that we've gotten. And so I'll switch over from the, this is recording our podcast right now, and it's an iPhone 10R.
For a radical.
10R. And Luke will get this one. Luke's got an iPhone 6.
Listen, dude, I want one that I can plug my headphones into.
Oh, he wants it.
Yeah, why? They took it out because they're idiots.
They do have a thing for that.
I know, but what if I want to charge at the same time?
It's only like $10. Oh, you can't charge at the same time.
You can. You can get one that charges.
Well, we did this. We did this for that too, because when we're podcasting, our lav mics they plug into this thing in the back on the bottom of the iPhone.
Crazy high tech.
So I bought this off of Amazon. It's a fast charger, like contact charger, and works through the OtterBox and charges it on a USB-C.
Nikola Tesla will be rolling over in his grave.
This thing right here, seriously, even in the truck, I set this down and I set the phone on it, and it charges up. So we're going to be doing truck podcasting, and we're gonna really enjoy this time.
Yes,
we'll do multiple podcasts. Hey, are we going up to Life Skateboards for the Christmas thing?
When is that?
I don't know.
We should find out. We'll figure it out.
I'll figure.
Sam, he's on here or he's listening.
He might
text me.
Yeah.
When you listen to this tomorrow, Sam,
we're interested in coming up for the Christmas thing. I presume Sam will be there.
He better be. I'll strike him.
I know that he is probably going to be there, which probably means he's not going to be there.
Oh my gosh.
Sam.
We love you, Sam.
Get it together.
Yeah,
man.
Come on, man. Get some help.
All we want is to see you.
Yeah, we miss you so much.
We're not doing it without you.
Yeah, come on.
Jeez. All right. This will be the end of that. We're going to shut down the Podbean first this time.
Yes.
And so, Podbean, we greet you adieu. And hey, are we on Apple?
Don't worry about it, dog.
We found out that a certain amount of our listenership is through Apple.
If you listen on
But Apple never got back in touch with us.
I don't understand.
Yeah, Apple never told us we were on Apple. We didn't hear anything from Apple at all. We're going to bring this up at the beginning of our next podcast.
I'm going to call them.
Calling Apple?
I will. I'll call Podbean. I will.
Podbean?
I'll call both of them. I'll call whoever it takes. I'll call the President of the United States.
And that's why we call him the co-captain. Okay.
I'm going to figure this shit out. I'm enraged.
That rage right there.
Yes. We're going to get shit done.
All right. Listen, we don't know you all. We care deeply that you be well. You matter. Stick around.
Yes.
For what it's worth. CapmLew.
Laters. Did we say it again?
Oh,
to these
we're
guys?
still on. No, we don't have to say anything to these guys.
Like
this is our Facebook audience, these guys.
Yeah,
it's usually singular.
This group of guys.
There's only like one person on it. Yeah. Nobody is watching through these Facebooks.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe someone would listen this far, and we should do a giveaway.
Yeah.
At the end of a Facebook Live.
but really beef it up, and then it's just like a bag of gummy dicks, or like a piece of your beer, just one hair.
I neither confirm nor deny. any involvement with sending gummy candies. All right, so
Yes.
dude, why did you bring that up?
You know that's a hilarious story.
Story is so good.
We can't tell it because I do have to get home.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you later. For what it's worth.
Laters.